Hello, this is Erin, and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video inside of Hermitcraft Season Clockwork. I am messing up my words today. Yay! We are in story time, Scar's Perspective, Chapter 2. Yeah. If you haven't read any of the past chapters, be sure you do so. We just got introduced to a new friend. And yeah, we're going right into it. Things are happening. Things are going to happen. Yeah. The next day arrived sooner than he expected, as he opened his eyes, seeing the sun shining its golden rays into his bedroom, as he pulled back the covers and sprung out of bed. He couldn't see a cloud in the sky through the window as he went over to the nearby chest and opened it, taking out what he would need for the day. There was a lot of things he wanted to get done for the day, and the sooner he got to business, the more time he'd have to have a little fun, and to play with his new friend. The thought of Jelly having spent her first night in the house, probably still downstairs in the main room, or at least somewhere, brought a smile to his face. Once he had gathered all the things he needed, as he quietly hummed to himself, he closed the chest and walked to his bedroom door, putting a hand on the handle when he felt a breeze gently push him from behind. This chilly echo made him instinctively shudder. He turned to look at the window again, seeing it had been opened sometime during the night. He was sure it had been closed the night before, when he went to bed. Curious, he walked over to the windowsill and peeked out, seeing the trees beyond before noticing something neatly tucked in a corner. A piece of paper. He took another look outside, wondering if he should dare see what was on it, or if he'd just leave it be. For all he knew, one of the hermits who were trying to send him a message without using a communicator. He wouldn't blame them, seeing as it was a secret way to talk without any chance of anyone overhearing. Momentarily distracted, he picked at the piece of paper until it got loose, catching it before it hit the ground as he carefully unfolded it, squinting at it as he took in the familiar clock figure, along with a little scribed note. We never forget, he said in a soft whisper, as he read the thing a second and third time, silently folded the piece of paper, and looked out the window again before he added, "Neither do we." He closed the window as he made sure it was locked this time before turning and walking out of the room, leaving and closing the door behind him as he spotted Devin not too far away. As he walked over to him and handed him the paper. "What's this?" Devin asked. "Another note from the men," Scar said matter-of-factly, with a shrug. "So you should see it." The man nodded as he unfolded it and frowned. "Well, that's to be expected." "Why would they send a second one, though?" Scar asked curiously. "I don't know, but it wouldn't be hurt to be careful today," Devin replied thoughtfully. "That's fair," Scar agreed, as he began walking down the hallway and towards the stairs. "I'll go feed Jelly real quick before we start heading out. I'll be down in less than 5. Devin stated as he pulled out the portable communicator. Scar didn't need to ask what he was doing. He already knew. The cars was doing their job, and that was fine with him. He had other things to tend to, and one of which was seeing his new friend. The clock image and note soon faded from his mind as he skipped down the stairs to the main floor, as he practically waltzed into the main room, seeing Jelly still sleeping in the armchair, her tail swishing subtly back and forth as her fur gleamed in the sunlight. Her eyes opened when she heard him approach, and she meowed grumpily. "I need to make sure you've got something to eat before I go on an adventure," he said kindly, as he took out a makeshift bowl and put it on the floor nearby, spotting a trapdoor in the corner, which he knew led down to the secret tunnels his friends had been working on for the past few weeks. It was hidden fairly well by a potted plant as he filled the bowls. Wonder where the second one came from. It was water and fish, making sure to give his new friend more than enough as he heard her softly landing onto the ground and quickly heading over to see what he was doing. When he was done, he stepped back to give her some space, just as she went over to sniff the items before looking back at him, meowing again. I know you want to come too, and maybe soon we'll be go on our adventure together, he said gently, as he gently stroked her as she purred. Right now, you're still getting used to your new home, and I want to make sure you're comfortable and happy here first. Soon, Jelly, I promise. The green eyes looked up longingly at him as he swallowed, seeing the plea and desperation in them. He so desperately wanted to give in, to scoop her up and take her on so many adventures, to show her the world and the wonders that it held. But he forced himself to look away. He knew that day would come one day soon. He looked back over in her direction and smiled as he pulled out a red collar from his pocket. I have a present for you. Jelly meowed again as he slipped on the red collar around her neck, a nice little bell hanging down as she stared up at him. His smile widened as he stood up, patting her gently on the head. Be good, okay? I'll be back soon. She meowed in response, a hint of a purr in the back end of the sound, as he walked away from her, hesitating, as he glanced back to see if she was following him. She was still seated near the food, still watching him intently. He said nothing as he made it to the front entrance, seeing Devin meet him from the stairway, as his escort asked him if he was ready to go. Once he gave the man a satisfying answer, he left the house, leaving Jelly alone, a part of him, hoping she'd be okay on her own, and another wanting to stay to keep her company and get to know her more. Right now, she needed space to adjust, time to get used to her own home, to get used to living with a hermit. He was sure she'd be fine, regardless if any of Mr. A's men decided to come for a visit. They wouldn't hurt an innocent cat, would they? To be fair, she got in the way, probably. Sorry. They've done it before. Episode 40, Chapter 3. I'm sorry, they've done it before. They've done it to Barnaby. They've tried to do it to Fluffy. They've done it before. And I'm sure they'll do it again, if given the opportunity. Will they hurt an innocent animal? If they got in the way, yes. Oh dear. It hadn't taken Scar long to get to the area where he planned to be on building. Putting on any extra stuff he had inside of the chest. Putting any extra stuff he had inside of his chest for safekeeping until he would need it later. The morning was relatively calm and peaceful. The area was shaded by only subtly by trees, and the sun slowly rose, shrinking the shadows back on themselves. He knew Devin was nearby as he gathered everything he would need and began to work on the build, letting his mind wander as inspiration took hold. He didn't pay too much attention to what was going on besides what he was doing right in that moment, time sliding by faster than he'd realized. Before long, the build was complete. As he placed the finishing touches on it, he looked down at the grassy ground beneath, seeing just how small the little bees and rabbits wandering around them seemed. He wasn't sure how much time had passed as he looked up at the sky, seeing the morning slowly turning into afternoon, just as he spotted something in the distance. There appeared to be a few figures heading towards where he was, as he squinted his eyes to see a little more clearly. It only took him a moment to realize what it was as he smiled. Devin, we have company, Scar called from below. Called what? From above. Yeah, that's damn, it's not right. As he jumped off the building and gently glided down to the earth below, his escort appeared from around the corner. Good or bad? Devin pondered. I'd say good, a voice said from above, as Scar looked up to see some of his friends gliding down to the ground. We just wanted to see how everything was going. I just finished working on this, Scar replied eagerly, as he gestured to his masterpiece, which towered over them, boasting of character and life. Wow, one of his friends said in amazement. That looks pretty cool. What's it for? Not sure yet, Scar pondered thoughtfully. He looked at each of his friends, Grian, Beat-Ups, and Jem, along with their escorts who had appeared to it not too long after they arrived. Grian must have gotten a new escort fairly recently, after the loss of his previous one, due to the men's attacks. So far, the new change seemed to be good. So you know about the second note then? Yeah, we may have overheard, Jem admitted sheepishly. So far, everything seems fine, he said cheerfully. Even better now, you guys here. But that's a good point. Two Beat-Ups chuckled. If they did want to attack, there's more of us here to help that can fight back. Yeah, Scar chuckled as he looked back at Davin, who was watching expectantly. Do you guys want to meet Jelly? I found her wandering around my base the other day. Of course, Jem said excitedly. Great, the YouTuber said happily as he pulled out his rockets as he looked down at them. Do you think we should fly there now or walk? We can manage, one of the escorts said casually. Just stay close to each other. Got it, Grian said, matter-of-factly. The four YouTubers jumped into the air and flew above the trees, gliding with one another as they headed back to his base, Scar being unable to wipe that smile off his face the entire way there. It didn't take them long to arrive back at the base as the four of them landed gracefully to the grass below. Scar noticing his friends glancing around the area warily as he walked over to the door, putting an ear to it, hearing nothing as he pulled back, opening it up as he walked inside. He heard his friends walking in from behind as he entered the main room to see that Jelly wasn't there, but her food bowl was completely cleaned out. He called out to her, relieved when he heard a faint meow from upstairs as he went towards the staircase, seeing a little head peeking around the corner. Oh, she looks adorable, Beat-Up said happily as the cat warily jumped down each step, eyeing the newcomers suspiciously before arriving at the YouTuber's feet, with a purr before wandering back into the main room once more. She certainly seems quite at home here already, Grian mused with a smile. Yep, Scar agreed, as he went to the room, followed by his friends as he glanced quickly out the window for a moment, seeing a glimpse of one of the cause members passing the window. He wasn't paying attention to that, though. Have you seen the tunnel yet, Scar? Jem asked. We just finished it the other day while you were away. I haven't had a chance to look, Scar said eagerly as Jem guided him to the hidden trapdoor, and as she opened it, revealing a letter. We shouldn't go too far, most likely. Just have a peek, Jem said with a sincere smile. Only for me for a moment. Scar chuckled as he obliged, climbing down the ladder as he looked down the clean, decorated hallway. There were pillars breaking up the white walls, as well as bushes, some of which seemed to hide some light. There was even a few patches of a textured rug on the wooden floor as well, as he looked back up. How long did this take you? Not too long, Jem said cheerfully. Everyone so far is on their own designated color or style of hallway. As close to another hub as we can get right now. Good, yeah, that could be easily trapped. Scar nodded. It looks great. Thanks, Jem said, her wide grin greeting him when he climbed back up to the main floor, closing the trapdoor behind him. We probably shouldn't stay for too long, Grian admitted, after a long pause. I'm sure you still need to do some things, and that. Yeah, it shouldn't take too long, though, Scar said casually. You sure you'll be fine here? Jem asked slowly. I should be, he said, trying his best to sound reassuring. The men had all the day to do something, if they haven't yet. It just means they're biding their time, Grian said with a frown. Especially since we know about this threat. If I need help, I've got ways, he said with a smile, pulling out the communicator at the roof. Be careful, Beat-Ups insisted, Scar looking up as he could have sworn the lights flickered for a split second. How do you imagine that? He probably had. The same to you. Scar nodded as he scooped up Jelly, who had been lurking at his feet, and cuddled her contentedly. We'll see you later, then, Green asked. There's a scheduled meeting in a few days. Don't forget. I'll try my best not to, he chuckled. But you know as well as I do that things don't always go well. Green nodded as he headed for the door, opening it, that the other two hermits made their way to the door as well. He wished his friends well as he watched them leave, flying off into the sky once again as their escorts followed suit now, just leaving him, Devin, and Jelly on their own in the base. He was sure it would be fine now. A single note wouldn't scare him. After all, he had quite a few capable friends on his side, and he knew that for sure that they could handle Mr. A and his men. He'd be fine. That's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one, whenever that might be.